Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 14 of the Audible Farm podcast. I'm your host. My name is Peter Stockdale. This week I'm sitting down with a good buddy of mine. We grew up together. His name's Kevin Jensen. We were in a band when we were younger, as most musicians start somewhere, and we ended up just playing a bunch of punk songs and things like that, but that wasn't really what Kevin wanted to do. So after he graduated, he ended up going and joining a couple of other bands, and we'll get to that here in the podcast. And it's a pretty good listen. I found out that it's tougher to interview people that I already know, just based on the fact that we've already heard the stories before. So it's awkward retelling the same story that maybe one of us has already heard or told before. But just bear with it a little bit. It's kind of tough. I end up giving Kevin a little bit of guff in here for his lack of voice modulation during the podcast. So if you end up hearing him get a little too close to the mic a few times, just kind of roll with it and chuckle to yourself. But this is episode number 14. I'm sitting down with a good buddy of mine. His name's Kevin Jensen. He plays guitar. He sings. He's in the band Brother Bailey. They're awesome. I love checking them out when I'm in the Des Moines area. So, if they're playing a show around, you better check them out. They're tons of fun. Episode 14, Kevin Jensen.
It's the Audible Farm podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, Peter. How you doing?
Doing good. Sitting down today, Kevin Jensen with, you're the lead singer of Brother Bailey, rhythm guitarist.
Guitar.
You've been in a handful of other bands. Excuse me. Been in a handful of other bands over the years. You and I are actually from the same town. We went to school together.
Humboldt High.
Yeah, we had a band in high school, and our band was Active Input. That was one of those situations where everyone pretty much just got a guitar or something for Christmas, and we just did the best we could, I guess.
Yeah, PV Squire, Guitar Man, whatever it took to be able to stand on what we called a stage at the time and play a song or two.
You should put the microphone closer to your face, maybe. But yeah, definitely. We weren't bad necessarily, but I wouldn't necessarily either say that we were very good. What's your take on that, man?
We were good musicians there, but new to the guitars and the rock and roll and all that, that's for sure.
Yeah, we were pretty much just learning as we went, and we all just chose a song to learn together and did the best we could, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I had a good time doing it.
For the most part, we played for school events sometimes, whether it be homecoming, coronation, or whatever. And sometimes they went better than others. It wasn't like it was horrible all the way around, but we also, I don't know, we had fun doing what we were doing. After that, everybody kind of went to college and went away, and you did the same thing, but you were in another band after you left Humboldt area. What was that band?
Well, after all that, kind of wanted to get back into it again, and so noticed that, Craigslist had an old musicians forum there in the community, and
Yeah.
there happened to be some local guys looking for a singer for doing some old 70s, 80s rock and roll type songs, and showed up, had a good time with the guys, sang good enough for them, and so they brought me on to loudspeaker there in about 2009 era.
Yeah. That 70s and 80s rock is right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, just kind of easy singing stuff there.
That's the stuff you kind of grew up listening to for the most part.
Shit, yeah. The old radio classics plus what my mom played all the time on the music.
Yeah, your parents had pretty awesome musical taste. There was always some pretty good music playing around your place.
Yeah, the a day at home consisted of mom loading up the 6-disc changer with whatever of her couple hundred CDs she had of 70s, 80s rock and roll and hair metal.
Yeah.
And so learned all of that stuff front to back over the years.
Yeah.
And everything you hear there, but still, we still try to play not, the hugest hits that are out there, but songs we still think are fun and, good to listen to, good to dance to.
Yeah. You grew up as a singer. I don't want to say like professionally trained, but you sang at school. You did chorus and other things of that nature, right?
Really, when I was young, everyone did chorus, that was the one thing they could start you on from, from when you're, in kindergarten there. But I didn't really do that when it came to picking my classes in high school, junior high and high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, until we just kind of got interested into doing the musical theater, the what do they call it? The musical and the theater show there.
Yeah,
So
we every year in Humboldt they did one play and one musical.
The play was in the fall, musical in the spring, or something like that. And
Yep.
so, yeah, ended up doing the musical and getting a lead role in that, and doing some chorus stuff and doing some things with that. Really, just my last year in high school there,
Oh, really?
when we were getting big into music, and basically my senior year in high school consisted of being in the band room about 3/4 of the day.
Yeah.
A couple science classes.
That was pretty much like all I did in high school my senior year too. Was I spent a lot of time in the band room.
Yeah.
Whether it was for the best or not, but that's just the way it went down. So I guess I didn't know that you didn't sing as much as I had originally thought. Because I had originally thought that you, I don't know, had more singing, and more involvement in the school or anything like that. But I guess I didn't realize it wasn't until your senior year.
It was literally entirely my senior year. Yeah.
So you're actually like a pretty good singer then. Just like naturally, I guess there's got to be some sort of talent there.
Singing the radio, on the car radio and all that shit all the time.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just where I picked it up. But singing school chorus, man, those songs are fucking boring.
Yeah.
I don't want to sing that crap, so I just kind of stayed away from it. The band was tolerable. The songs, weren't that awesome or anything, but all you guys were in it too, and that's pretty much what kept me going too.
Yeah, I always had a fun time, just playing music almost no matter what it is. Like, the older I get, the less I care, I think, about the style of music. I just like playing it because it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
But, so you do the active input thing, you did a little bit of singing in school, and you ended up trying out for a couple of bands while you were in college, right?
Yeah, well, Loudspeaker was the only one I really tried out for. It was the first one I tried, and ended up really liking the guys and sticking with them for 4 to 5 years or something like that.
That's awesome.
Practicing every week, and we lined up gigs about monthly.
Yeah.
Playing in the Ames, Des Moines area, bars. Nothing huge back then. We played a lot of gigs up in Story City at the bowling alley. Probably at least 4 or 5 times up there.
Yeah.
But they're good to us, and there was actually people who'd show up to have drinks and watch the bands.
Yeah.
In Story City there. So
having people show up is, that's half the battle, I guess.
it's sure varied, but generally a good crowd would be more than 10 people, I would say, for us.
Yeah.
Always has and still is, really.
You just do what you can.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking last week with Eric Nelson about that, how sometimes you just got to reevaluate how you measure success, because you get in there and you're like, oh, it's money and fame. And then once you realize that there's limited amount of both of those things, you might need to reevaluate what you would consider success. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I was never really concerned about success. Still ain't concerned about it at all. I'm just still just having fun. It's something to do every now and then to keep things interesting.
Yeah, and that was kind of my answer to him too. Was like, this is for me is like a hobby gone gone crazy, like this podcast, playing music and stuff like that. They're just hobbies that are way out of control. And I mean, it's not like they're out of control to the point where I need help, but I probably sink too much money into doing both of those things than I should. But I mean, you got to sink money into something, I guess. I spent most of my 20s sinking my money into a retirement fund and not playing any music. So I don't know. You gotta make a trade off somewhere. It's not. Yeah, I don't know. So how long did you play with loudspeaker? You said like 3 or 4 years playing, like a show a month or so.
Yeah, I'd say 3 or 4 years, maybe 5. But then, all of a sudden, just one day, heard from Jeremy that Doug Ewing, our drummer, he was about 54 years old. He had an aneurysm getting out of the shower one day.
Yeah, that's right.
Put him in the hospital for 2 weeks, unresponsive, until they did a little surgery, tried to reattach some blood vessels to the area of his brain and get that working again. And luckily he did come back and, is still mostly functioning and all that. But he's really wasn't able to keep up with the drumming anymore and had to rely on his kids right now.
I forgot about that until now. I remember that you had mentioned that to me. That was just super scary because, I mean, that's something that could happen to anybody, any age.
Yeah,
I mean, just...
He played drums in the band. You could say his heart was in fairly decent condition.
Yeah, I mean, that's like one of those what are your 3 biggest fears type deal. Like I don't know, just aneurysm, just
random blood clots in your blood vessels, man, just floating around.
Stroke, heart attack, any of that stuff. It's just like, jeez, no, thank you, please.
No.
So did you guys kind of call it quits after that, or?
Well, yeah, the band was done because we went to Doug's place out in the country to practice. The thing was that was the jam room out there. It wasn't really going to work for any of us to practice at the other 3 of our houses. So, I think they tried to come over to my flat a couple times and basically play acoustic guitars and Cajuns or something. But just it was gone. And so,
is that Cajon?
Yeah, Cajun Cajon, yeah.
Yep.
So
you got somebody over there playing a spicy chicken breast, a Cajun.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. No. So you tried to do the acoustic thing or the smaller setup, folk setup or whatever you want to call it, and it didn't.
Yeah.
Just didn't work.
Nah, it didn't work. So we tried writing some of our own songs too, and that, and just didn't quite work. It wasn't feeling good. So, but then before we could really think about it too much, anyways, Jeremy he joined up with Brother Bailey down in Des Moines.
Nice.
So that was really close to all that. They were looking for a bassist at the time, so he went down there, and we didn't really play for about 6 months ever. Until, kind of coaxed Jeremy into bringing me down and playing with Brother Bailey there. Greg was just doing lead guitar and rhythm guitar at the time, and they had another singer who just sang, and then a drummer, and then Jeremy was doing bass. And so I just added in some rhythm there, and Greg was digging it because he could relax a little bit, not have to cover all the rhythm through that, and be a little more loose on his leads. Yeah,
so you what we're saying is Jeremy joins Brother Bailey, brings you in on the thing down there, and you just kind of joined up with those guys. Was it one of those things they put out an ad for and you replied to it, or was it just kind of you were just buddies with him and he said, "Oh, I know a guy that plays guitar. Let's bring him in."
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I just went down there to hang out with them for a while too, and they're cool dudes. And
put that mic in front of your face a little bit more.
like good music.
There you go.
They played the same set as we almost did in loudspeaker. Swear to God, half the songs were literally ones we played in loudspeaker. So it was pretty easy to transition in, and they liked that.
Yeah.
So started playing a few gigs with them and practicing with them every week.
Yeah. What kind of songs do you play in Brother Bailey? Was it much of a change, or was it I don't know, were you playing a little bit heavier songs or a little bit
Well,
more?
we had a female lead singer at the time, so we could play a little different songs like that. But uh, honestly, it was not too different at all. It was a lot of same stuff there.
So you say female lead singer and Brother Bailey at the time?
Yep.
Um, what? I guess I never saw Brother Bailey with her singing. What?
Mhm.
How did that all shake down, or like whatever?
Well, yeah, she was with the band before Jeremy even came into them,
All right.
and then I joined, and we probably played with her for a good 2 years.
Oh, nice.
We went through a couple drummers through the time. Aaron was drummer for a while, then he left to pursue his Hy-Vee manager role, and we brought on Dave from England, and he was just kind of living in Nevada and working at the university, and he played drums, and he'd come down and you know practiced and gigged with us for another couple years, and then he left, and we got Brian hired on after that, who is our drummer now.
All right.
And so all those changes happened with Mo still there. And then, we were just kind of sensing some things and wanting to go on without her. And Greg kind of let her go one day there.
Yep.
And so we, went on with me doing all the leads then, and Brian and Jeremy and Greg. And it's been the four of us for now at least a good close to 3 years now.
I take it Greg is the founding member.
Greg Bailey, Brother Bailey. That's
Yep,
how it's named.
that's
It's his
him.
place we practice at. It's his gear knowledge and all that we use.
Yeah, I mean, it's justifiably so. He also plays most of the leads, if not all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen you guys play a handful of times at a handful of different styles of venues. One of them kind of being like a small pizza/bar type place. That was actually pretty cool.
Oh, East Side Eddie's.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, I've seen you at some like slightly bigger places too, but I do love getting out to check you guys out and watch you play. You play a lot of cover songs. What kind of stuff? Like, what kind of songs do you play? What are you talking? You're like Ted Nugent.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I mean, we do play Stranglehold, but that's kind of a one-off from Ted there. But we do, a couple Doors songs. We do a few CCR songs.
Steve Miller
Doobie
Band?
Brothers. We don't do any Steve Miller right now. Do some Eric Clapton, and we do some country too. Do a couple Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash type stuff.
Nice.
All through there,
All right.
all throughout the 70s and 80s,
So
little 90s too, I suppose. Little Red Hot Chili Peppers and stuff like that too.
So like, what got you started playing guitar then? Like, was it like Christmas gift? Here you go, or was it what exactly?
Well, parents kind of just showed up one day with a, PV Squire and Fender Squire and the little PV practice amp or whatever.
Yep.
And it was kind of half intended for the family, but I was the only one who really ended up playing it.
Yeah.
So it became mine. I took a few lessons with Tim Miller, our junior high guitar music teacher.
Yep.
But he was also teaching Leif and Dalton Boss, all of us, guitar simultaneously, basically then.
Oh, nice.
So we all kind of picked that up. I don't think we ever really played with Leif. Maybe you did, but I didn't.
I jammed with Leif a little bit when we were growing up, but we never actually played any songs together or anything like that. I never really took any lessons when I first started playing guitar. I just kind of tried to feel it out for myself. Do you feel like taking lessons benefited you a little bit or not?
Oh, they could have, probably could have, gone without them. Mostly, showed us how to do the open chords, how to do bar chords, and a little bit about reading music and playing guitar, which I absolutely have not used ever since. So, yeah, it was good though. It got you started and off to a get going, but mostly just reading tab off the internet. Honestly, anymore is how anyone should ever learn.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I did. When it came down to like learning how to solo or like jam along to stuff, that was something that I kind of wish somebody would have taught me. I mean, I got how to read tablature, and then it was like, well, now I can read every chord, but I don't understand why the chords are what they are, or like why is this an E and that's an E minor? Like I didn't get that kind of stuff, and I wanted to actually understand that as opposed to just memorizing and playing, because memorizing and playing can only get you so far. So I remember taking some music theory classes when I was in high school, and that was like the start of trying to figure it out. And I didn't really get too far with it, but till about 4 or 5 years ago, I really started looking in it. But I kind of wished I would have taken some lessons growing up. I'm somewhat glad I didn't, because it kind of helped me take my own path. But I don't know. It was one of those things. I remember when we started Active Input, we needed another member to either play guitar or sing, and we brought you in. And I mean, we're just kids dinking around, but it was obvious to see that like you knew what you were doing fresh off the bat. We were playing a handful of songs. I mean, like you were talking about earlier, none of the songs were really in your wheelhouse.
Meant to Live was not exactly a song I'd ever heard before,
or want to hear
again.
Yeah, I get
Boulevard of Broken Dreams, or most of the Sum 41 or other songs that we mostly played.
Yeah, I totally
had
get
a lot of fun
it.
doing it. So
yeah, and I mean, some of that's just like me growing up, being younger, and being a little pig-headed. It's just the way it goes. Like I want to play these songs, and I feel like they all have to be this type of music or whatever. But you and I actually played a show for a benefit for the pool for Humboldt, and it was recorded, and that's actually on YouTube. If anybody really wants to look it up, it's Active Input. It was
it
band
in
name.
Livermore?
No, we did a benefit for the Humboldt pool at the fairgrounds in Humboldt, and Jody Hawkins did sound.
Oh,
and he also recorded all of the.
That was for the pool?
Yeah,
Is that with the Lazy River Band?
Yeah, it was a class reunion for one of the classes, and they donated the money that they made that year to benefit the pool. And they had like big donations and all this other nonsense, and it was actually like a hella good time. And there's actually some recording of us back in the day playing some of those old songs. And I mean, we even played a Red Hot Chili Peppers tune. Yeah, that sounds really good on the podcast. Or rub your beard against the microphone there, boss. Oh man, as if you're not demodulated enough talking into a microphone, which is blowing my mind, by the way. How much time you spend behind a microphone and you are talking like off the side of it and like yelling into it. It's just kind of funny. But maybe some of that comes down to the fact that I have pretty basic setup with only one set of headphones, so I'm the only one that actually gets to monitor the way that this sounds. So
I have zero feedback over here except for the little green bar.
Yeah, I mean, I just watch how big these get, because if they're too big, they're going to be. That's when you're redlining, like that kind of stuff. So that's just how that would work. I don't know. I'm glad you're sitting down doing the podcast with me. I mean, it's just something that I kind of started doing, and I'm kind of trying to get some of my friends that play music to get in and do this. And you and I have been friends for friggin' like 15, 20 years almost now. I mean, like I'd call it 15. That's how long we've been playing music together.
Yeah.
A little bit here and there. I mean, after high school, we haven't really played any music in bands or anything like that. But I mean, we've jammed out in your basement or in wherever you're living at the time. Because I mean, you've moved around quite a bit. I mean, whether it be from like the Ames area down to the Des Moines area, but I mean, house to house, place to place, we've hung out quite a bit, man. And that's one of those things I thought about over the years was how you and I had spent so much time together, yet the last time we played a show together was 2006, I believe. That was the last show that Active Input did.
The Sheldon Park gig.
Yep. That was great. And
Cops ended that one, and we haven't played since.
No, I guess that was the end of Active Input. But yeah, that that was just a horrible situation all around, and it sucked that it ended the way it did. But I don't know.
Everyone was going off to college anyways. Otherwise, we wasn't gonna work to play homecoming again or anything like that. And there's nothing else going on in Humboldt to line up against.
Yeah, that was just like the start of the like cell phone hero era type stuff too, because people were just hanging out having a good time, and someone pulls into Sheldon Park and sees 40 kids. They're like, "This is horrible! Call the cops! Bust it up!" And the funniest thing about it was like most of our parents were there and stuff like that, and it's like we're not doing anything crazy. And then what makes it even funnier was just a couple years later they were like, maybe we should fix this stage up and actually use it, and they did it because they hadn't done anything with that stage since they used to have ABATE in Humboldt, and it'd been like 5-10 years since they'd even done anything with it. It was old and dilapidated, and we just kind of threw a impromptu show out there, and I don't know. The public didn't take to it too well. I guess as an adult, I guess I kind of understand it because you don't really want a whole handful of kids out like super partying in a public park. But that's just the way it goes. Speaking of ABATE,
ABATE
yeah,
this year.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, that's the big gig lined up for the summer right now that everyone's talking about.
Yep. So who like you guys are going to be playing?
Yeah, so ABATE's like a 3 or 4 day event or something like that up in Algona, Iowa, over July 4th. So we're playing on the 5th. Open up the beer barn tent up there.
Nice.
Yeah, so then later in the day, you got to stick around because Quiet Riot is headlining the main stage.
That's sweet, man. You're going to be at a festival that Quiet Riot is at, and you are going to be playing the same day as them and pretty much opening up the day.
We're technically playing in the same place before them.
That's pretty cool, like
not the same stage, I don't believe, but
hey, that's still pretty cool, man. Let's put it this way: when you were a young kid growing up in Humboldt, and ABATE used to be in Humboldt, did you ever think that you were going to be playing a concert at ABATE, at an ABATE rally?
No, that did not cross my mind. But this guy heard us play at a gig one time, and he's like, "Dude, I could hook you up with ABATE or something," and dude came through, and he did.
That's pretty awesome.
He must
man.
have really liked us and had some pull up there because there's only like 5 bands playing that day with Quiet Riot, and us included, and it's not 1,000 bands like it is at some festivals playing a half an hour and moving through.
I think it's pretty cool because not only are you guys playing there, but a buddy of mine, their band is actually going to be playing up there too. Riddled with Class. They're from the Humboldt area, and they're going to be playing up there too. So it's kind of neat. I got a couple people. Both you guys. I've had Nick Earhart from. My phone's buzzing. I've had Nick Earhart from Riddled with Class on here, and they're going to be playing up there too. That's going to be a pretty sweet time. Other than ABATE, I don't know if you have any super big shows coming up, but you usually do play quite a few shows every year. Summer usually being the busiest for you, I would say. But how many shows do you think you play every year?
We played about 12 gigs last year, this year, and we got them lined up about every month. We got about 4 gigs lined up right now.
Do you have a list of when your gigs are?
I do.
Let's whip them bad boys out. Let's see when you're. What kind of upcoming shows you got?
Most everything here is posted on Facebook. Brother Bailey. Not too hard to find.
That's an easy plug because that's usually where I pull most of. If I promote people's dates, that's usually where I pull most of the dates from. But
yeah, that's the most current list that I know of. So, we got Mistress Brewing Company coming up again for the second time in January. It's a pretty cool little brewery up in Ankeny there. Got a great stage, great beer. Then heading out to play the Burr Ride February 2nd.
Nice.
That's out in Boughton, Iowa. Little town just east of Perry, Iowa.
Yep.
But there's a big bike trail that runs through, and these crazy-ass motherfuckers ride their bikes in the middle of February. And I guess they want to stop for beer and get drunk and listen to music. So
that's pretty wild, man.
We're going to do that for them there. We're going actually back to Kenny's Garage, formerly Kenny's Pub. A place we used to play all the fucking time back when we just started.
Where's
Brother
that at?
Bailey. It's way out in Waukee.
All
about
right.
as far west of town as you can go.
Yeah, man.
Literally a couple miles there. You adjust my volume.
Dude, you
Yeah,
were
I
just
gotcha.
redlining like crazy. Yeah, I don't know. You were reading most of those dates out the side of your mouth. So if anybody couldn't hear them, just go to Facebook. They're all on Facebook. Just search for Brother Bailey. They'll be there.
Yeah, new dates coming all the time.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's constant. You guys seem to. It seems like you play more shows than 12 a year. I don't know. Like 12 just seems like a low number. I don't know why. For some reason I feel like you play more shows than that. I don't know if it's just
Oh,
my
gosh,
imagination
shit.
or what, but
Yeah, sometimes we pack in a couple a month, and sometimes we end up taking a month off. Just didn't get anything scheduled there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Where's some of your favorite places you've played so far? I mean, like you've played some like what street dances in some towns and
Oh, yeah, we played Nevada's Town Holiday, their Lincoln Highway Days twice now. We've played Everly, Iowa's Fireman's, fundraiser, yearly street dance up there twice now. They've been really good to us up there. Great place to go.
yeah.
Thirsty Sportsman down in South Central Des Moines, always a good time.
Heck yeah, man.
Just is.
I think I saw you down there play down there once. Maybe me and Clinton
Yeah.
Kelsey went to one of those shows down there.
I do remember.
Dude, that was awesome. I actually, yeah, because we went down to one of those shows, and believe it or not, your parents showed up to one of those shows.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen your parents in, since high school almost, it seemed like. And it was just crazy. It was just like, holy crap, what's up? You end up with one of those situations where you get to see people from your hometown that you haven't seen in a while, but you see them in like Des Moines. It's just kind of like, this is wild. What else do you have going on music wise? Like we talked a little bit about you going on Craigslist, and that's kind of how you got into the scene with Jeremy, right? And am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
If it wasn't
okay.
for Craigslist, that wouldn't have happened.
All right. So you also have a little bit of Craigslist history. You like go on there and find gear and trade gear with people sometimes. Like
Sure. Craigslist is great for local cheap used gear.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it maybe once or twice on the podcast so far with a couple other people, but I do definitely feel that like if you're a musician and you want to upgrade your stuff, Craigslist is kind of tough to beat. Maybe like the Facebook groups are starting to compete with it a little bit because the Facebook groups are pretty good too.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, have you ever found anything like super cool on one of those Craigslist ads that you just was just like, dude, this was such a steal or such a score? Or like I haven't seen one of these since, but I've only seen one. And
Oh, dude, I was got a chubby the other couple weeks ago when I saw this beautiful Gibson Flying V on there.
oh, nice.
And it was just like, perfect dark red body with big white pick guard and nice immaculate head up there, fucking V'd out. Like asking $700-800 for it, but
Yeah.
of course, I would never go for that, but god damn it.
Why
It looked
not,
pretty
man?
cool.
I feel like I feel like you. I mean, you're pretty conservative. Just not politically speaking, but like in general speaking, you're just kind of a well-reserved person. So you're not really one to spend a whole bunch of money on something super flashy to do something like that. I mean, it's just not necessarily who you are so much, at least as far as I see you. So you probably wouldn't buy like a Flying V, but
No.
but I feel like it would look good on you.
It would look good on anybody, I think. That makes let anyone look like a rock star, dude.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
But, you find some cool stuff. I mean, that's in the Des Moines area, that could have been anyone's. Some good Explorers or something like that pop every now and then. There's good Les Pauls and good Fenders and all that stuff too, which is more my speed, I suppose.
Yeah. You like Les Paul or what kind of guitars? Let me ask you this: what's your favorite kind of guitar to play?
Well, usually I just play my Gibson Les Paul.
Yeah.
It's works for the most wide range of music, I think best. The Fender single coil sound is very cool too, but I guess I'd rather have a harder rock song than a better country song.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it just comes down to what you like to play and what fits your style the most. And I will have to say, like most rock and roll songs, somebody's got a guitar with a humbucker in it, so it's it's just the way it's going to work. You're going to end up with your Les Pauls or mostly Gibson type stuff, and it's just the way it kind of goes. I feel, I don't know. I've always been kind of partial to humbuckers. Lately, I've been forcing myself to use single coil pickup guitars just because I don't know if it's me trying to step outside of my own comfort zone or exactly what. But I mean, you and I have recently. I mean, sorry everybody, gear talk alert, but like we recently started like looking into guitar pedals, like kind of at the same time a little bit, and figuring out like what pedals do what, and doing those kind of things. And it was kind of nice to have somebody around to discuss buying pedals with, and
Yeah, and to swap pedals with.
yeah, and try out. Because man, if anybody's ever bought some nice guitar pedals, you know that like even the used ones can go for like 80 to $120. I mean, they can get astronomical, but some of that I think is just hypothetical, imaginary fairy dust that people have that they sprinkle into it, and they're like, "No, this is worth $400." And it's like, yeah, not to me, but like, I mean, you and I stick to medium grade pedals to dipping our toes into the high end pedals. That's kind of where our price range lies, because we don't want to spend a lot of money on anything. But it was nice to be like, dude, you got a fuzz pedal? Yep, hook me up. Let me try it for a couple of weeks and I'll bring it back. And like, and same thing like looper pedals and anything. It was just get the ability to have somebody else's pedal to try some of their stuff out was kind of neat, and having people to bounce those ideas off of is priceless, especially in the music community. And I don't know, I'm just glad I had you around to do some of that with.
Yeah, the same here, man. Uh, no one else really used a whole lot of pedals that I knew of, and getting a huge amp rack mounted system and all that was way too much money to be sinking into that stuff off the bat, and when you're trying to first shape your initial sound on everything, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that if you're just first starting out and somebody rolls up with a rack unit, you're just like, I have no clue how this works. I don't know what's going on, So like, you end up with some of those kind of things where you're just like, yeah, I don't even want to try this. We'll just stick with a guitar into an amp, and then you throw one pedal in there, and then you throw another one in there, and then eventually you got a nice little mini setup of pedals, and it's kind of nice because I mean, you're kind of like me. You don't use too many effects at all, but you kind of feel naked without them.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, for us, we try to play a wide variety of songs, and so if I don't have enough choices to, go through and try to scope to the best of the abilities to get the good feel out of the song that I want, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I can't play everything on crunch or everything on clean.
Yeah.
So I try to give myself a few options.
What was the first song you ever tried to play on guitar? Like when you first got one and you were like, I'm gonna try and learn this thing. What did you try to learn? Or were you right into lessons?
Gosh, I probably would say I'd identified more with going into lessons than trying to learn anything. I tried to learn a couple riffs to stuff.
Like what?
Mess around with my dad and
what are we
things
talking?
Like that.
Crazy Train?
Yeah, I mean, I think I learned Crazy Train, like Paranoid and stuff like that. I tried to learn a couple Ted Nugent riffs because that's what my dad liked, and we were kind of trying to get him involved too. But nothing too memorable that I really enjoyed playing front to back.
Yep. So I don't know. Like, I feel like our directions we've taken in music are quite a bit different. Whereas you've played mostly in cover bands, and I mean, like we started out playing cover tunes together, but like since then I haven't really taken. I don't know. I play a little bit with the Stockyard. That's kind of like, I don't know if it's a one-off or a two-off kind of a deal that we've done, but that's like the only cover tunes I think I've sat down and done too much playing with recently. I don't know if I feel like there's like that difference that we've taken. It's kind of like, I don't know if it's tough to describe it to people because we're both musicians. We're both out there doing things and making money, but what you're doing is still so much different than what I'm doing, right?
I wouldn't even say I'm out there to make money at all. Mostly, I play for free, and we have played for free before. But generally, people are willing to pay us to do longer shows like that and do a 4-hour set out there. And yeah,
So yeah,
I think that they should be paying original artists, and I wish there was more of that available. But
yeah.
fortunately, even the places where you can play cover music is pretty limited anymore. There's
You think so?
uh,
For some reason I feel like
I
there's
mean,
more.
out of 9 out of 10 bars don't have live bands in them anymore.
Well, yeah, I mean that's understandable, but I feel like most places will tolerate cover bands more than they'll tolerate cover or more. They would tolerate a cover band coming to town and playing music more than they would tolerate somebody with original music.
Yeah, I think it generally fits just like it's easy for everyone and the population gets it all, and most of the time they're there to see that stuff or there for other reasons.
Yeah,
It's just kind of background music.
yeah, you guys
But
get to play the jukebox, you know. So
yeah.
so it's just all the hits anyways, and that's kind of what they're looking for is somebody that can emulate the radio,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But it's just is what it is, I guess. I feel like traveling outside of the area here, it might be a little bit different story, but that's. I mean, how far outside of Des Moines have you guys gone for to be a cover band? I guess have you tried playing any like super small towns and like little bars or?
Well, Everly, Iowa, up near Spencer, was the two-time place we've played. That's been a pretty small town,
Yep.
but it's where Jeremy's from, so he has his family up there. He knows one of the firefighters who run the thing, so we went up there for that.
Yeah.
ABATE's probably going to be the next most out of base thing for us, and that really didn't come through my connections being from Humboldt or anything, so
Yeah.
just happened to be that one guy there.
So, do you guys just choose not to play shows too far outside of Des Moines by choice, or is that just something that
Yeah, we
it,
book enough gigs in the Des Moines area. We don't need to stretch for anything. We don't particularly want to go to Omaha or Minneapolis or anything like that, so we don't even look.
well, yeah, I'm not talking about going to like Omaha or Minneapolis, but like go over to like Newton and just like you guys have any,
Yeah, I
just
mean, we've
some
gone out
random
to
towns.
Boone. We play out in Nevada sometimes. It's, Boughton and small towns around. If there's something going on, we'll give them a shot usually and go from there.
Yeah. What's been your favorite place that you've been to? Like dark horse favorite place that you just go to and you don't know anything about it, and then after you're done playing, you're like, dude, this show was awesome. This place was cool. The crowd was great. Like, there's usually got to be at least one of those shows that you've had while you've played in the last handful of years that you just show up to and you're like, man, everybody here was just rocking and we were on point. Which one you got?
I'm still gonna have to go with Boughton on that one there.
Yeah, man.
Out there for the Rusted Sprocket is the name of the bar.
Dude, that's a
Sprocket.
legit sounding bar.
Yeah, last time I played there, both my parents, the Bussies, our neighbor, and my brother and sister came to the show.
Dude, that is legit.
It was pretty lit there.
The
And,
Jensen family representing.
we had that place a rocking, overflowing there, and it was pretty tiny.
That's awesome.
I think we doubled the town population right there.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've driven by Boughton a few times on my way to and from the Des Moines area to do shows and whatnot. I mean, I love the fact that you're still playing music. It's not that I figured you wouldn't, but you were actually, one of the only people other than Clint from my childhood of growing up playing music with you guys. Like, you're one of the only other guys that went out and actually did something with it. So that's pretty cool because I did a podcast with Clint. He was one of the first ones I did, and same with Dan Blair, and we all grew up together playing music. And it wasn't until a handful of years later, Dan started playing in bars and stuff like that, and it was like, I got to get back into this too because I feel like I'm missing out on something that we all enjoyed so much of, as a kid, and I guess when I started playing guitar again, I had reserved the fact that I knew like fame and fortune wasn't going to come my way because I had seen many of my friends struggle to play it. So I just knew to just enjoy what I was doing, and if I'm not enjoying it, I'm not going to do it anymore. And that's what I told myself. So I'm still going. I'm still rocking. Like, have you ever thought about stacking on another band since you only play like one or two shows a month tops?
Oh, I've, checked Craigslist still every now and then, just, to look around every few months. I might get a wild hair, read what's on there. But no, I haven't really wanted to get too involved in anything more.
Yeah, you got enough on your plate right now.
It's enough. It's fun enough. It's going really good. Brian just joined this Beatles tribute band or something. He's doing little band stuff on the side. He's our drummer and brother Bailey.
Yep.
That's all cool, and it's working for him to do 2 bands a week and all that.
That's pretty awesome.
But, I don't necessarily have a whole hell of a lot else that I have to do, working 8 to 5 most of the time. So
Yeah.
there's the open ability there. But I like keeping things open for Brother Bailey and all that too, and maybe possibly squeeze it in another jam during the week or something like that.
Yeah, you don't want to end up with like a situation where you work yourself so thin that you just don't enjoy either one of them anymore. Like, if you hypothetically did join another band, right?
Yes, I don't want to have to make a decision there.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of tough being in a couple bands. I mean, I'm doing the 2-band thing, going back to school, got a podcast, and I don't even, honestly, from the outside looking in, I don't know how I'm balancing all this with as well as I am. But I guess the older I get, the more I realize that my free time is like super precious, and I get bored when I have free time and I watch TV, especially like sitting up alone, like up by myself, all up in Humboldt. It gets kind of boring sometimes. So I always try and keep myself busy with like literally anything I can do. Like I took a commission to dip a new guitar. If anybody hasn't seen the guitar I dipped last time, check it out. I'm dipping another one. I guess this is me somewhat announcing it, but
Can you give us a teaser on what colors it'll be?
yeah, it's gonna be blue, like a dark blue, and maybe a gray, and a white, maybe a little bit of silver if it's not gray. So those would be the colors probably.
Cool.
I'll be making an unveiling of it pretty soon. Yeah, I don't know. I'm testing a few things out I've never tried before on this one. And I was really unsure of how it was going to go. So I think it turned out pretty good overall. I've just got to, for the most part, put it all back together and add a few doodads here and there and see what happens. So I'm pretty stoked about it. I did have a teaser of it on my Twitter account, on my personal Twitter account, if anybody wants to check that out. But it's there. It's a thing. I don't know. I do have to say that doing the podcast has been really fun, especially even just sitting down with some of my other friends. Like you and I have known each other for so long, so sitting down and doing a podcast is almost awkward. Like because we just sit down and talk so much, anyways.
I surely don't feel like I need to go in as much detail, but
yeah,
because we know what we're talking about here.
Yeah, you and I have discussed a lot of this stuff like before, and so that's why I mean, we kind of get into a little bit of gear talk, somewhat into it, and I mean, these are all things that are commonplace and common knowledge for you and me to one another. But like everybody out there doesn't necessarily know some of this stuff, and it is kind of weird sitting down with somebody you're so familiar with and trying to get them to talk about all their stuff, or like even brag about it. Or some podcasts, I even have a tough time just sitting down with people being like, even though you and I are friends and we're like very much peers and stuff, it's just I've always kind of like looked up to your ability to like, you've been playing music for the last 5-6 years nonstop for the most part. It's just pretty cool. I mean, that's not something I've done. So like, I don't know if it's, I hate to just say like it's almost jealousy driven, but it was just like, dude, like it's so cool he's out there doing all this stuff, and I want to be out there doing all this stuff. So like, and I was always just so self-conscious and embarrassed about making mistakes because when you and I were growing up playing music, we weren't the greatest. And, I mean, I do recall getting laughed at quite a bit playing music growing up. So it was like one of those things where it's like, I'm never getting laughed at again. So I didn't want to shortchange myself. And I always thought you were pretty goddamn good. You could just play and sing at the same time, which was something that was mind blowing to me up until just recently. I kind of started figuring out how to do it. And once you figure it out, it's not as hard, but it's still pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So we announced some of your shows. You got Brother Bailey on Facebook. Do you have any other social media for Brother Bailey?
I think we've got a YouTube page. Technically, we've got a few handful of videos on there.
Heck yeah.
Rough stuff. Maybe some more coming this winter. Start getting some new items on there.
Yeah.
And I think we have a Reverb page too.
Reverb Nation.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
It links to some of those YouTube videos as well.
All right. So, I'll double check with everybody to see if they know of any other social media, but I will have all your guys' social media in the description. I know you and I had talked about YouTube a couple times because we wanted to start you guys a YouTube page, and I feel like every band needs one and needs to have at least some things on there to at least partially represent what they are.
I think we've used it for some of our stuff as a resume to play some places.
Bingo. And that's the other thing is if they don't have that kind of stuff, they don't know how good you actually can be.
It's widely accessible if you have the internet, so It's not like you have to send them to them. You just tell them where to look.
And everybody knows what YouTube is. It's not like some foreign place they don't know, like Reverb Nation. They're just like, what is this? Where do I go? What do I click on? YouTube, you just click the link and the video starts playing, and it's just like, oh, these guys aren't bad.
Yes.
Easy. So to any of the bands listening, anybody with a band, set up a YouTube page, man. It's pretty easy, and you can get videos on there and get some views. Use it as a resume type deal for booking other shows. It works, man. That's one reason I started doing Audible Farm was to record other bands, and you and I had dropped some ideas off of one another, talking about that a few different times. And it's been one of those things where I've recorded a handful of bands here and there, and some of them have come back and told me that YouTube has helped them book shows, especially, case in point, the stuff that I recorded of them, because I've pulled some pretty decent audio and video from some places, but I've never got a chance to record you guys. I know we had spun the idea a few times in the past and just never got around to doing it, but I definitely think I'll get all your stuff. I'll put it in the description section. Do you have anything else you want to plug while we're still sitting here at the podcast table?
I think we about covered it all there.
Yeah, for the most part, I think we got... Ooh, geez, sorry to redline. For the most part, I think we covered everything there, and we had a little bit of modulation issue here in this podcast, but it's I think we got it pretty well handled. But thanks, man, for inviting me over. Because I have this podcast. It's pretty mobile, and I'm kind of at the whim of whether or not people can do it, and whether or not they know a place where we can do it, and everything. So I got to say thanks for inviting me over here, doing a podcast with me. It means a lot that you're willing to sit down with me and throw your 2 cents out there on the internet. So appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. This is Kevin Jensen.
Sure. Thank you, Peter.
All right. Yep. We'll talk to you guys later. Yeah, that didn't sound too bad. A little post-production here and there does wonders, huh? Well, that was, episode 14, Kevin Jensen. He's a good buddy of mine. I just like sitting down. We talk a lot anyways, so I figured I'd just throw some microphones in front of us one of these days and see what came out. And, there's the podcast. That's what happens. It's the way it works, and it's just great stuff, man. Great stuff all around. Make sure you go check out Brother Bailey online. They got tons of stuff online. They got a YouTube channel. They got Facebook. They've got all their dates on Facebook, so go out to one of their shows. Make sure you make it out to that ABATE Rally this year. Brother Bailey's going to be there on one of the days. Riddled with Class is going to be there on another one of the days. I did a podcast with Nick Earhart, and we talked about that after the podcast, because I'm not 100% sure if he announced it on the podcast, but yeah, we had discussed that, and it's kind of cool to see my friends doing great things. So keep it up, guys. Keep getting those awesome gigs booked. It's super sweet. Get your exposure. You deserve it. check out Audible Farm online. We've got YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of it. We've got all of it. We're pretty active on Twitter. You can check us out there. Shoot us a tweet. We'll tweet you back. Guarantee it. We've got all sorts of videos on YouTube, not just the podcast. So go ahead and check out some videos we've taken of other bands around the area on YouTube. We're always adding new videos. Every couple of months we'll add a few videos. So check that out too. Got tons of cool stuff for everybody to look at. Thanks again for enjoying the podcast. I'm glad everybody listens to it. And I guess I'll just check you guys next week. Thanks for joining. I'll be around. Peace.